As always, we got Gunny Matheson, Joe Schmidt, and our special guest today.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, we ready?
We won't run out of stories.
Good. All right. Episode 117, Tim McQuay and Bob Loomis.
All right, we're back for another episode of the show. As always, we got Gunny Matheson, Joe Schmidt, Cade McCutcheon, and I called tonight's episode the Legends Edition with Bob Loomis and Tim McQuay. Guys, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is going to be, I have a feeling based on what we've been hearing so far through dinner, this might be an interesting show.
I don't know. Maybe they ran out of stories. Who knows? But
I don't think so.
Oh, there's no end to stories. They just go on and on.
Yeah. Well, you guys have been, Bob, you've been around since the start.
Yeah, my first fraternity was 67, the second one.
So the first fraternity was in 66 and you were in 67.
Yeah, see, I started training professionally in October of 66. So I wasn't ready for that one, but by the next year I was ready to go.
Ready to go. How many horses were in the first fraternity?
You know, I can't remember. I bet there was 50 or 60
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah. And for both of you, can you guys believe how far it's come?
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
Unbelievable how it's...
You know, watching the way it developed and the way it all come about, to me, I just feel blessed to have been part of it or been involved in it because it's been unbelievable.
Bob, they're going to yell at you for touching your mic.
Oh, you can't touch that.
you can. They're just going to yell at you for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds bad
Yeah.
because they've yelled at me for it for like 4 episodes. And then finally I was rewatching one episode and I was like, well, that's annoying. So yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, so right back to the mic.
It's hard not to do.
It is. It's easy.
It's hard not to do.
It is hard. not
Anything I
to-
like, I want to feel it.
I love it. I love it.
Oh, that's the Bob we all know right there.
That's it.
That's legendary.
So yeah, but anyway, thinking about what was the first fraternity you went to?
78 was the first one. He won it on Lady Eldorado.
All right, and it was still at the Congress, still in
Yeah.
Columbus, Ohio.
Still a
Yeah,
four
we went-
go round.
That was the last year, though.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you something. That 4 go round was murder. By the time you got to that 4th go round, it was a matter of who had the freshest horse and rode the smartest because they were wore out. That was too much.
Yeah, I bet that was before I started, but I remember I can't imagine because even now, as trained and as well bred as the horses are,
And-
I don't know, it'd be hard to get through 4 go
And
round.
like I was talking to Bob earlier, he said it was I finally, when he was president, I went through and made pattern 5, where he did 2 circles or 1 circle like that.
One circle, yeah.
Fast, 1 slow, but stopped in the middle. He said before that, every minute we hit the ring, we went change leads.
Everything, every pattern.
Yeah,
You know, it just, and you know, it's 3-year-olds on top of everything else.
3-year-olds, 4 go rounds. How did you keep them in the circle by the end of it?
It was
The-
tricky.
The year I was president, that all I'd get them horses lead happy was driving me nuts. So I was on the airplane. I was driving to every once a month we had a meeting in Columbus. So I'm drawing patterns, trying to put patterns together where we could go across that center and not change leads so much. Well, I did pattern 5 and pattern 9. What I did is I put 2 small slows and 2 large fasts in both of those patterns. Well, the first year we run those patterns, that was 1 too many circles. So we dropped 1 small slow or 1 small slow. All of a sudden, we didn't have that problem of getting our horses lead change happen.
right.
It really cleaned it up. And then I really liked pattern 5 because you stop. That's always been my favorite pattern. But you stop in the center and you turn 4 times to the inside, and then you take a lead change. And to me, to stop in the center and turn to the inside, that's just the opposite of a lead change. It just makes sense.
It's amazing how reining is developed to like pattern 10 now is the go-to pattern for all the finals. Because whenever I grew up doing it, pattern 5 was the pattern.
Right.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Everybody got to walk in the middle of the pen and run pattern 5 for the finals. And somewhere along the way, it just got too long and drawn out, I guess. They needed something more exciting.
One thing I liked about pattern 5 is a lot of people back in the day, they'd get their horses stopping, turning, loping, changing leads, but they wouldn't teach them. They put real pretty lead departures on their pleasure horses, but they wouldn't put a damn lead departure. They'd go on a trail drive to take a lead.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I loved about pattern 5, because you could turn 4 times, sit there. If you had your horse broke, you'd lope off in one stride.
And that's how they kind of went.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite as soft as it is now.
No.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. I think Bill Horn's last Futurity Finals, he loped off like that too.
Oh, yeah.
And it was in 2000s.
That was only 26 years ago.
Yeah, but it was still badass. It was still badass. It was still in the finals.
Yeah.
What was the pattern we used to run where you'd change leads and run straight to your stop right down
4.
the middle?
That was 4.
That was 4?
That was the worst.
Oh.
That's the worst maneuver. There's no way to make it pretty.
No.
But, back in the day, when we changed these patterns, I think one of the most beautiful maneuvers, and it's not one of the easiest to do, but is to go from a large, fast circle, change leads, and hit a small slope. I love that.
Yeah.
Because it takes a broke horse.
No question.
And it shows off a broke horse.
Yeah, for sure. So,
I mean, you could come through there.
I hate that pattern.
Yeah, I don't like that pattern at all.
Mine are broken up maybe, but I generally hate that pattern.
You could come there, not speaking from experience, and just yell "whoa" in the center, kick them with your left leg, and change the lead, and pull it off just fine. Also,
Yeah.
what happened?
Tiffy. I'm good.
yeah, that's the night before where you don't care at all if they step out of lead slowing down in that direction.
Yeah, right.
Talking about lead changes, when my daughter was showing in the youth, I had to teach her how to change leads every single day, year round. And she'd go to the house bawling because I can't teach nice. And anyway, so finally one day I said, I got this. I got a solution. Dean is going to school your horse. He's going to give you lessons, and that's it. So I tell Dean, and I hear him walking out the hallway, and I heard Dean tell her, Bobby Joe, I want you to know before we start, I just don't like little kids. And they got along great. I had no problems.
Dean Latimer. What year did you move down from Nebraska?
I moved down, and I bought that ranch in June of '85, and then it took me till the first of the year to get a barn built and get everything. And then January 1st of '86, we moved in.
Okay.
And Dean started working for me in '85, so he worked for me 1 year in Nebraska and then come to Oklahoma.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I thought he started working for you in Oklahoma.
No, he worked for me 1 year in Nebraska, and then when we moved to Oklahoma, he come with me.
Yeah.
Then he showed babies out of the roan mare that you bought from me.
Oh, I love that old mare. I used to tune all my help up with her.
Did you?
What was her name?
Alicia,
I got him stumped now.
Alicia Cash.
Oh, I'll be damned.
Well, my old buddy showed her.
Every horse he remembers. The people not so much.
I remember the horse.
Yeah.
Oh, what's his name? Trained
Oh, he's not going to know a name.
For who?
for Alicia Cash.
Jim Dudley is who I got.
No, yeah, but he got her from. I'll think of his name. But anyway, he told me, great old cowboy, won a lot. He told me, he said, she's had me bucked off several times. He said, but she'd always quit just before I fell off. And
Hey, Uncle. Dave Kunkel?
No, older guy. He's way older than me. Even he's been gone for a long. His daughter still trains horses up there in the North Country. Oh shit! I can't believe it.
It'll come.
But anyway, that old mare was cranking, and I'd say, "Go catch that roan mare." Well, if you went out there and just tried to put a hold, she'd run over you. She'd knock you down. She might kick you on the way by. But if you just cussed and cursed at her and hollered, and you could just walk right up to her and put a holder on her and lead her away. She was something else. But boy, her colt rode good.
Yeah, Dean did very well with them.
I love that mare. And her daughters, every one of her daughters made super brood mares.
Yeah. So, and we talked about it before. Both of you guys were so prolific in the breeding business, but you were one of the first guys. I think Bob was one of the first guys to really go out and gather those great mares.
What happened is back in those early years, I'd bring in a bunch of 2-year-olds sent in to find a futurity horse, and I might go through 30 2-year-olds. I might find one that was decent, and then I'd just pick 3 and just ride the heck out of them and make them as good as I could. So I started watching, and these great old show mares, when their show career was over, they didn't have no value. So I'd go buy them. And then once I started, and at that time, the only 2 people raising reining horses was Willowbrook Farms and myself. Well, I'd go buy those mares. One year, Larry Rose won the world on one of those little nifty bee mares, and I gave $1,000 for her with a black grapevine filly at her side. Well, that little black filly went on to be the world's champion non-pro horse in later years, and that little mare just had one good colt after another.
Was that the one Monty Strusner had?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, well, anyway, so one day we're floating teeth. I reach in and grab her tongue, and I let go of it. It looked like somebody took a meat cleaver on both sides, and in places it was just holding on about that much. And you afraid you could pull on it and it'd pop off.
Oh, George Rosen is going to go crazy on Facebook tomorrow, you guys. Or Marie Doyle or whatever his name is now. Huh?
I shouldn't have told that story.
No. Good. We're good. Actually, for about a 2-year period, Mr. Rose gave Tom shit and told the world on Facebook that he was going to go broke and he's the worst person in the world for 2 years. It was amusing to come here and tell Tom what Larry said about him today. And he kind of quit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mean to offend nobody on that. I've never seen a tongue in such bad shape.
But you were the first one, as I recall, to gather all those mares. But then as soon as obviously it started working like it did, then the secret was out.
Another thing, if I saw a really great show horse, I'd call the AQHA up and run its mother down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I bought some of them, some mares like that did a good job for me.
Yeah. There's no secrets anymore, huh?
But
you ain't gonna steal nothing like that anymore.
No.
I was buying those great old show mares for $1,000, $2,500 all day long. The best mares going down the road.
people didn't really do anything with them then.
Well, the year that Bill won the Futurity on Spirit of Five, they sold her for $25,000 after the Futurity Champion.
Yeah.
But they thought they cut a fat hog.
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
And when you look now, what's a Futurity Champion mare going to bring today? Start at 500?
A million, minimum, $1 million.
Yeah.
I want to say they've turned down $3 million for a Futurity Champion mare in the last 5 years.
Yeah, at least the numbers now, insane. I mean, there's no telling.
But the difference is, we've got the whole world involved now.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah,
that there's places in Italy, there's places in Brazil, there's
Japan,
there's people that
China. Oh, you look so nice.
And like you were talking you were breeding mares and Willowbrook, and BH, who was as heavy in it as you could be, he'd raise 5.
Yeah.
I mean, he just didn't raise a lot of colts.
Well, what happened, I think, to Bill is that black mare, that great black mare that he rode years ago. What's her name? She's the father to that stud of his, or the mother.
To BH.
Yeah, she's BH's mother. Well, anyway, he gave $5,000 for her, and BH is the only colt she had, and she died of colic. Well, that just kind of chilled him from spending money on mares, I think. Because if you got horses, you're going to lose something now and then.
Yeah.
That's just part of it.
But you were totally different. He lived in Ohio on that small place. You moved to Oklahoma to get
Lots of
2,000
room.
acres, and
Yeah.
Well, in Nebraska, where I lived, I had to move to the Bohemian Alps to get grass. I mean, there was nobody out there but me and some coyotes. And it was the worst location in the world. But then when I moved to Oklahoma, I got good location and grass. But
Yeah.
if you're going to have a lot of brood mares and cattle and stuff, you got to have grass.
and people started coming. Yeah, when we moved to Tioga, we got close to DFW because that's when people started flying in to look at horses, and they'd just go north on 35. And
The reason I came when I did in the mid-'80s, I was doing a lot of clinics in Europe at that time, a lot in Italy and Belgium and all through there. And I could see that we had a big boom starting. And I knew that if I wasn't somewhere between Oklahoma City and Dallas-Fort Worth on I-35, I was going to miss out on it. I sold selling a horse operation in the Bohemian Alps is tough. I couldn't get no buyers, so I had an auction. And I took a $400,000 loss selling that place to move to Oklahoma. And it's the smartest thing I ever did.
Yeah.
When I lived in Nebraska, I'd ride all day. I'd be on the phone all night making deals, selling horses. When I moved to Oklahoma, I forgot how to hustle. I had
it
more
just
business
happened.
pulling in my driveway than I could handle.
You know, Tim told me one time, and I've repeated 100 times. When he moved down here, he said he sold more horses by accident than he could by on purpose in Minnesota.
I mean, those people just pull in your driveway all day long, and they'll buy anything you'll price to them. And like, I had to hustle to make a living. I made a good living in Nebraska, but I had to work at it. And when I moved down here, I forgot how to hustle. I mean,
That's pretty cool that you had the foresight to take such a big loss on your property and your business to make this change you knew you had to make.
Well,
And-
too, it helped too when the fraternity moved, the whole industry changed. That was by far the best thing that ever happened.
And
The
boy,
reining horse.
the Ohiowegians were squealing.
Oh,
They were so upset we removed it from the Congress. And that is one of the five greatest moves the NRHA ever did.
Yeah.
I think
And probably number one. Yeah.
If it had stayed in Ohio, part of the Congress, it wouldn't be much better than it was then.
no.
Yeah. So when did you move before or after the fraternity?
I went to the 85 fraternity, and then I come home and I had my barn built, and I had 150 head of horses with training horses, brood mares, babies, and a bunch of my friends come with 6 horses. And at that time, I was right. Did you ever watch any of those old Western movies? I was riding horses for an old cowboy.
Couple.
One of my best friends, I went blind for a minute. But anyway, he sent a 9-horse van and a driver and told him not to come home till I was moved. And then all my buddies brought 6 horses, and we brought about half of them down in one caravan. Dale Robinson.
Yeah.
But Dale Robinson, I was riding horses for him at that time, and he just sent that van, and one of the nicest people you ever met.
Yeah.
he had that big old 900. Then it had a huge tack rib. We got 4 yearlings in the tack rib.
Hang on here. Give me a push. I don't know about you guys, but I've had my tack room door just pop open, tweaking down a hill. We had the butt bar up.
Yeah. Did you ever show at the Minnesota State Fair?
Yeah.
Was that, and that was, they had a big open then, right?
I used to go to a lot of the state fairs, and every winter back in the 60s, early 70s, I'd come down to Texas and I'd go to all the stock shows. I'd bring a
I remember him doing that.
Bring a junior and a senior reining horse and go to all the stock. And I'd stay different rodeo friends that lived down here. Stay with D. Burke. And
What drew you to stock shows? Did they pay money to win, or did it just was it just putting records on those horses for breeding, for clientele?
I was a young trainer and just getting started. The Futurity was just starting.
Yeah.
And the king of the year is the guy that won all the stock shows. So, I mean, and I tell you what, they weren't easy to win. There's a lot of those all-around cowboys that are pretty good hands.
Yeah. I have my memory of the first one I went to, I was probably 18 years old, was in Fort Worth. And I already knew Tim, of course, because we grew up in the same, he had his business in Minnesota and I grew up in Wisconsin, and we knew each other and had done some horse trading. But I remember the one thing, I don't remember so much about the horse show, but I do remember playing quarters.
Yeah, but that was at the quarter horse deal. It was later. It wasn't the stock.
That was in Dallas at the Dallas Fairgrounds, and they don't have that show anymore. That was a sketchy part of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I would sit there and we played
Dallas
quarters.
Show, that used to be a good show at a good
really
big old arena.
Yeah.
Dick Pieper took that mare that he won the world on, was there. Robert Chown rolled in there with those two really good.
I think it's the same show that you're talking about. Me and Peep went partying one night. And we got in this bar and we both got smashed. And all of a sudden I look up on the stage and Jerry Lee Lewis is playing the piano. The guy that owned the tavern was a friend of his, and he wasn't hired to be there. He was just partying with everybody. He tore the piano to pieces, tore the band shut. I've never seen him in concert where he was as good as he was that night.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
that is pretty cool.
Yeah. That thinking about the quarters, I was so far over my head because I was an 18-year-old kid, and it was you and maybe
I know Cliff Stife was
Cliff
in it.
Stife, Otto was Otto there.
Otto was there, and
Your dad maybe.
but that was in Dallas at that fall horse show.
Yeah.
And it was, or maybe then we went to Austin. I went to Austin from Minnesota to that reining there.
I used to like that arena in Dallas. I don't know what happened to it, but that was a good big arena for those days.
Yeah.
I remember the one year it was the year you bought the gray horse from Doug.
Yeah.
And Peep was riding that mare. And I was riding Bogey Jack. Yeah. You and he were in the lead of the pack, and there was a big crowd. When I went in, I beat him. When I came out, there was not one person but me. They all deserted me.
It's just that.
Yeah. Beat me on it.
Yeah.
Went in there and I beat him.
Oh, God.
Oh, that's good stuff. That's good stuff.
The good old guy that lived in Ohio, Cletus.
Oh, Cletus Howling.
No.
I used to go to Cletus's looking for 2-year-olds.
Not
Cletus was in Illinois, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ohio. I think I know who I can't remember the name either.
As good
Right,
as this show, as good
We got a lot of good stories if we could just remember.
That guy.
This would be the best show if we could come up with some
I
names.
never forget
Clayton Woosley.
And I had hell of people's
He
names.
was my best friend.
Clayton
but I can't remember
Woosley,
his
yeah.
name.
Well, you threw me off with Cletus.
Yeah. Clayton was judging.
Clayton Woosley.
Yeah.
That's who rode and trained Miss Alicia Kane.
Yep.
We got this.
Yeah, Clayton Woosley.
Came full circle.
We got to go get our bowl of memory pills, you guys.
We need to get some names of people from then and just have. That's who it was. That's it.
Yeah,
Woosley.
give us a sign.
Yeah.
The first person I met, the first time I went to the Congress in '67, I really liked O'Cletus a lot.
He was a really good guy.
Just fun.
Clayton.
That's what I said, Clayton.
I love this. I love this. This is amazing.
Yeah, that was good times. So, and Tim, you moved down here in 88?
89.
89.
89.
Yeah.
So you won the fraternity, then moved down here.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't
I
know.
felt like that was as good a time
Yeah.
as any.
Yeah.
You know, back in the old days, all the trainers were scattered all over the United States.
But
Now
they,
that-
but the reining horse trainers that went to the reinings, you were the one from the furthest way of anybody to go to it all the time.
oh,
But the rest of them were all from that Ohio,
Ohio.
Illinois.
hell, every time I
Even
got in the
Long-
truck, it was
Long
1,000 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, when I was a kid, there was the toughest non-pros in the country were from Chicago, and
Yep.
most of them rode with you.
Well, they rode with Ken Eppers.
Yeah, they rode with Ken, but they rode
Well,
with
they
you
came and
too.
rode
They
with me,
both
too.
they rode with both of you guys, and yeah, and I can remember going down. Ken had a show in March or something in the
Mhm.
spring.
Mhm.
We'd go down there, and
See, I never enjoyed non-pros.
Yeah.
I always,
we
Dean always did that, or Joe Hayes. They were good at it.
yeah. Hey, speaking of Dean, I'm gonna jump a little bit ahead here. What about the year Dean slept through the second go around of the
Oh, I was
fraternity?
pissed.
You were.
Well, he had this girlfriend. She was time consuming.
Oh,
She had a full sister with one brown eye and blue eye.
She had split personalities too.
I hope they ain't listening.
No, they won't be. Don't worry.
Yeah, that was bad. You know, and Dean, he's about the best employee you could. That's the only mistake he ever made in the 7 years he worked for me, but that was a bad one.
Yeah.
Him and Joe, those two guys, they were just like an extra right arm.
Yeah. Joe Hayes was something, huh?
I'll tell you what, Joe, he might not ever have made a great level 4 rider, but that son of a gun was smart. He had people skills. He could sell. He could teach. He was a great teacher.
And loved to teach.
He loved it. And, you know, like he lived right next to Craig Johnson, and Craig's winning a lot and doing. Joe's not winning anything, but he's making way more money.
Yeah.
Because he could manage money, he could manage time, he had people skills, and he was knowledgeable.
Right.
And he would come out of the house to talk to people.
He liked people. Joe liked people.
Yeah.
And he loved to teach. I'd take him with me to all my clinics. Because I.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, when I was very young, I was 14, 15, you would come up to River Falls and do a clinic. And Larry Caston would set that up, and
I used to go up there and do clinics at least once a year.
Yeah.
Had a lot of fun up there.
I remember that. So the
one time I pulled in there and I had a big German Shepherd that went everywhere with me. And Larry told me, he said, we got a barn cat that just eats dogs alive. He said, watch your dog. I thought, what barn cat's going to scare this big German Shepherd? I no more and thought it, and I'm putting my horse, and so here comes my dog running down the alleyway screaming with a cat on top of its clawing on his face. The meanest damn cat I ever saw.
My dad once, but Jody mentioned put the cat on him.
Yeah. That was just a kitten, and I was maybe picking on Jody. She was getting back at me.
Yeah, I wouldn't pick on Jody today. Actually.
I
So
wouldn't pick on her any time anymore.
you guys remember the story when Craig Johnson did the clinic up there, and when it was over, everybody went home, and somebody took one of his 3-year-olds
Oh no!
by accident. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, somebody that was at the clinic accidentally loaded up one of his good 3-year-olds. It was one he ended up showing, and they tracked it down. But he went to load up, and his 3-year-old was
Oh
gone.
man, that'd give you a heart attack.
Yeah.
Nah.
Probably now a lot worse than then.
One time I was doing a clinic up there. There's a guy showed up with a mule, and he tried to enter it. We had a reining at that particular clinic, a show, and he tried to enter it. Well, they wouldn't let him enter it because it was a mule. Well, this mule could run.
I remember.
Stop and drag its butt. Well, I ended up buying it. I got him home, and then Bill Horn come down, and him and I were doing a clinic together. But we didn't do nothing the whole 2 days he was there except ride that mule. It had a lead change problem, and we was fixing the lead change. But anyway, that was funnier than heck. But then I wasn't getting nothing. I wasn't getting my horses rode. I was a goofer, so I had to get rid of that damn mule so I could get back to riding.
Yeah. When you going back to when you talked about you knew it was time to go and you sold your place, and reminds me of I used to go. Tim was the same with horses. Remember, I used to buy a lot of your horses. Tim would call me. I was 16, just got my driver's license. And whenever he had one that he thought wasn't his, he was ready to be done with it.
Yeah.
And I would drive over there. It was an hour and a half or so to Tim's house from my house and pick up a load of them and come home, and we'd figure out something to do with them. But yeah, we had a good little deal going there. I remember you probably don't remember a horse named a Wonka Willie.
No.
I was on the road, and I was going. We showed at Elgin, Illinois, and I think you were there and saw me show him. I was a non-pro then, and then I was going off to another show, maybe in Milwaukee or Madison or some weird place. And I don't even know how you got a hold of me because there was no cell phones or anything. But I called home, and somebody said, "Hey, call Tim," and I called you. And you offered me $5,000 for that good little gelding. My God, I couldn't believe I was hitting that kind of lick.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's like that when I bought that nifty bee mare with that little black grapevine filly. When that grapevine filly was 2, I started to try to get her broke. She was so dead-bellied and so dead-faced that I sold her to Larry Rose for $3,500 and thought I'd really hit a lick. Well, then she ended up being the world's champion non-pro horse.
So you did hit a lick.
Yeah, I hit a lick, but that stiff and dead-bellied stuff just don't work for me.
Yeah. Well, that's
So,
crazy.
If you were getting ready for the Futurity in your heyday, in your prime, in your very best, somebody called you, said, "I want to buy your very best one and keep it with you," what would that horse have been worth before the Futurity?
About 100,000.
Oh yeah.
I never would sell a good one cheap.
Well, no, I wouldn't. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a lot of money in those days.
Yeah, 100%.
That was all the money in those days.
Yeah.
But I sold a lot of them for 100,000.
What did Hollywood Done It cost
What did he cost?
when you bought him?
100.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you something, and you helped me on this deal. I sold Top Sell Wiz as a yearling
Oh, yeah.
for 10,000 to Udrin and Gert and Udrin, Germans.
From German.
Well, anyway,
Bless you.
I left him at my place. So then I'm starting him. Well, Dean rode him for a little bit, rode him 30 days and got him started. And then I got on him, and man, I fell in love with this horse. He just is everything I like. Well, so I called, and I offered him 50,000 for him back. Well, they called Tim and asked Tim if that was a good deal, and he said, "Yeah, you better take that." And I got him back.
But didn't they get some breedings and stuff?
Well,
too?
It wasn't official, but they had a
Took
mare
care
there,
of
and
her.
I bred her for nothing. Yeah,
And they were good people.
they were real good people.
They,
Well, and on that 50,000, really, I gave him 35,000 cash and a filly. Had to make it.
But that was still at that point
Yeah,
was
that was a lot of
good
money. And he was by far, I mean, he was one of those horses that from the day when you got on him, you could just tell he was special. Never have a bad day. I don't ever remember having a fight with him. Just one of those real special.
a little
horses.
different than Topsail.
He was so different. But his mother was a mare named Jeannie Wisbar.
Yeah.
And that kid in Missouri trained her himself. He's never had another one since. But he was beating all of us. He trained her himself. He'd ride her in the youth and win the youth, and then he'd put her in the open and show her against us. And if you couldn't mark a 75 or better, you couldn't beat her. And I've seen him show her on grass, deep dirt, slick dirt, and she was just a great mare.
He was just at the judges' fraternity or at the judges' clinic up there.
See,
and
that's
he was
why
talking about that.
You guys showed on
Now,
grass?
Oh, yeah.
When I bought her, she was in foal. And I didn't
There was
realize
plowed
what a
rock,
great
there was
broodmare
drug
I
rock,
sold that colt. I don't even remember where he went.
shallow grass.
But anyway, that mare, she was just an amazing and beautiful little mare. Just a little, that's where Topsail got so pretty. And then she completely changed the Joe Codys. All of a sudden they were quiet. And she even added, the Joes always had a lot of stop, but she added a lot more style to the stop. That mare might be one of the greatest brood mares I ever owned.
So when did you buy her? While he was showing her, or
It was
No,
almost-
he called me up. I'd been trying to buy her, and then he called me up one day, and he wouldn't sell her, but he leased her to me. So my first colt was Topsail Cody. Well, the reason it shows him as the owner is I just had her leased that first year. And then something happened in that year that he needed some money. So he called me up and sold her to me.
that worked out?
But I wanted that mare bad. I'd watched that little turd show her. Well, he showed her the first time I ever seen him mark a 75 on her, she was a long 2-year-old.
Wow.
And he showed her till she was 10.
Oh, wow.
And she still showed honest at 10. And he'd go show her in the youth and then once he got and the open. And she was just one of those incredible. How many times have you seen somebody that had a great horse that they never had another one?
Yeah.
That's
go
what
get
great
that horse.
horses do.
Yeah.
So one thing that I see from both of you guys, being younger, whatever, is that when you needed or when you saw a horse you liked, you got it, whatever it took. Whether you had to borrow money, find money, whatever. When you needed it, when you saw something you wanted, you went and got it.
Exactly.
And that's the one thing I think passes through every generation.
Well, like in my younger career, I got tired of riding all those reject cutters and reject halter horses and trying to find a futurity horse. So the smartest or the best thing I ever did was start buying those old retired show mares.
Start making them.
Or even if you see a mare you like, call the AQHA, find out where her mother is and see if you can buy her. That works just as good.
But going back to the futurity, I mean, I went in 78 and I was 13th, I think. I think I got a check for $1,300.
That was pretty good in 78.
Yeah, but then I sold a mare to him.
Yeah, but how do you-
$3,500.
That's my point, though. How do you see that and go, I'm gonna change my life. I'm gonna start an empire
Yeah.
doing that. How do you have the foresight to see it?
Well, with me, it wasn't foresight. It was just necessity. I needed better horses to ride.
But you and Dick, you did a lot to change the industry, to make it a better place for everybody to go play in. Last year, there was 400 open futurity horses. I mean, that's unbelievable.
The year I was president, I'd won the futurity in 90, and I won 30,000 on Topsail Cody to win the futurity. So, that was 80. So then I was president in 92. Well, I had one thing in mind. I was doing a lot of stuff with the AQHA in the judging and stuff. And I says, what? The cutters are really starting to pay more money, sell more money. What do we got to do in the race? He said, Bob, that's the easiest question, money. When there's enough money involved, that people will come.
Right.
So I got on a mission. I was going to guarantee 100,000 to the fraternity
In 82.
in 80. So we raised the and everybody says, well, you're just doing it for yourself. No, I was doing it for the industry. And we raised the entry fee. Now, the first 2 years that we paid that 100,000, from second on down, had to take a cut.
Right.
The second on down, and boy, did people scream about it. But the next year is when the European thing broke wide open. It broke wide open. Well, I mean, I put up with so much misery in 82. I never wanted to be on the board of anything again after that, but we got it done. And then it stayed at 100,000 for years. And then when
Todd Summers.
Yellowstone got it.
Todd Summers won 150 after the 100.
Yeah.
And it was there for a few years.
Yeah, and it stayed there.
How much
for a
did you
while.
win?
150. I was the last one to win 150.
And then when Taylor Sheridan got involved and Yellowstone, all of a sudden they just blew the top off. And look where we are today.
Yeah.
But
And,
it's just steps, just little steps.
And the friends are reigning.
yeah, and the friends, Tim Anderson and Rick Clark and Bob
Sims,
got it, and the whole
Archie.
Archie and the whole bunch put it. And that's really what made it. This year it paid $25,000 to make the finals. So
Yeah,
it's
you
changed
said-
a lot, huh?
Well, I'll tell you what, there's been a lot of good people invest in this industry
Yeah.
and make it what it is today. It ain't no one person, it ain't no one group. I mean, it's a huge bunch.
Yeah. Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
All I know is when I first started training reining horses, I never dreamt I'd make any money at it. I was just doing what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because when you started too, and even when you started going to the fraternity, that was the only reining that paid any money.
Yeah, I was
But it
tired
was
of
still-
ribbons and
But it was still not a lot of money to go there.
yeah.
I don't even remember what it paid when you won it.
Well, the first time I won it was 76 on Bonita Paprika. I think I told you this before we started. We always had to have a big party the night before the finals, and I bought Bonita Paprika in the Calcutta. I got $8,500 for the Calcutta, and I got $6,500 for winning the fraternity.
Yeah. That's something.
That's incredible.
That's
It's
something.
crazy.
Don't ask me why I wanted to keep going, but
Well,
Yeah.
it was
when Gunny says when you saw your 1300, what made you think you could build an empire?
Yeah.
You weren't doing it to build an empire. You were doing it because you like training reining horses.
Because Tim
And
and,
you were-
Tim and I will cut out of the same cloth. We just doing what we love to do.
Yeah,
But you
It had
guys were
nothing to do
making
with
a
money.
living there though too. weren't you?
yeah.
Well, but here's another thing. Those early years, I couldn't just ride reining horses.
No.
I showed halter horses. I showed pleasure horses. I had youth kids that I had to mount. I had to put up with them little rascals. And, I loved every one of them, but they were time consuming. And the day that reining got where I could make a living doing nothing but reining horses, that was the happiest day of my life.
It
When I
was,
could just ride, breed, train.
Do you remember what year you quit doing everything else and just went to reining?
Would have been, I moved to B in 78, right about in there, 78, 79. Yeah, I'd say about 70, 77, 78.
it was 1983 when Colleen and I quit going to the quarter horse shows, and
Just
Is that
go
not
she
the
shoot.
did the
same?
jumpers or the hunters, and I
remember
I
seeing-
did just the reiners.
Go up to the Dakotas and show, and Tim and Colleen would always be there.
Yeah.
I remember one time when I had high proof, cause he'd been showed a lot before I got him. And I put him on a cow. Well, he was real cowy. Boy, he would lock on a cow. So I'm at Sioux Falls, I believe, and I entered him in the cow horse. Well, it was slicker than snot. Well, I had a cow run down the fence 1,000 miles an hour, and high proof, he's just sliding. He'd slide. I never rode a horse that could slide so far. And he's watching that cow. I'd finally get him turned around and we'd catch that rascal. And we
Slide
hit
by
him
him again.
And this time he's farther. The second time the cow jumped the fence. So far ahead of me. I figured if I'm going to keep doing cow horse on him, I got to get plates back.
Put some studs.
Yeah. No, it was a completely different thing. Like you said, I mean, you guys, and to me, I would say with what I remember is Tim was one of the first guys that really started selling horses for a lot of money and selling horses to the non-pros and really, to me, opened up that world for everybody else. I mean, and that's how I remember it.
Well, the non-pro deal, it's one of the heartbeats of the industry. I mean, good Lord, I've always thought that the non-pro is a heartbeat of the industry, but don't ever take money away from the open because that's the showcase of the industry.
Oh, yes.
The open is what brings the big money in. They don't come to watch the non-pro. They come to watch the open finals. So I remember back when we used to have a lot of arguments at the meetings. Well, they'd want to take this much out of the open and put it in the non-pro. No. If you want more money in the non-pro, let's gather it somewhere else. Don't take it out of the open. You cannot sell your showcase short.
Right.
That's what makes this industry roll.
You know who else I think helped some and was on the board and stuff was Gary Feldmar.
Gary's a great guy.
Yeah.
And great to
And he would put the money up for the what they call it. The
Excello Cup.
Excello Cup.
money he let John Amabel spend.
Oh,
I bet you he don't have any kids cost him as much as Amabel.
Where did Gary come from? What was his business?
training business.
Printing?
No, not you're thinking of
What was his
John's
business? What was
customer.
Gary's business?
the printing business
I couldn't hear it.
in Chicago. He was.
Or Chicago. But
Yeah,
he was a great guy.
What was Amabel's customer's name?
Monty Struster?
Monty Street. That's who I was thinking of.
Yeah,
Monty.
Monty.
He was the king of Chicago. He owned half of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Monty's a great guy.
Richie Greenberg.
Yeah.
Richie.
Richie didn't give him money like
It's
money.
a little hard to get money out of Richie, as I recall.
Richie could squeeze a quarter till
Oh,
the feathers would come off.
He
the
would
eagle.
never, ever put a horse in training with me that he paid the bill on.
Really?
Yep. The only way I'd take him is I'd have to partner on him. That's the only way.
Yeah.
And,
Well, I
then
never-
it pissed
I
him
rode
off.
one horse for Richie, and I didn't like that horse, so I sent it back to him, and he never sent me another one.
Yeah. Jack's Little Pine was the first one we partnered on, and I sold the horse for $50,000. And then Richie came. That was about in April. Richie came to see the horses in June, and he saw that horse. And I'm taking Richie back to the airport, and he says, we're still partners on that horse. Your half is my half. And I said, no. He wrote us a check for that horse, and I partnered with the new owner for the training. I didn't ever heard another word from him. But the next fall is when I picked up, or maybe 2 falls when I picked up Melody Jack.
I'll never forget that. They brought him there. His hock was that big around. He was skin and bones. I loved that horse.
Mr. Melody Jack.
No, I'm talking about the big sorrel horse with 4 white legs.
Oh, chrome-plated.
Chrome-plated Jack.
That's
Yeah.
the horse I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Oh,
You should have seen him when Tim got it. I mean, he looked like he just
we
come
were
from the
in
Redlands,
like
yeah.
in
Believe me.
Louisville, Kentucky.
And next time.
Are you thinking? I was thinking Bogey Jack is the one that
No.
I saw in Lexington.
No,
you
that was-
might have saw him there, but
yeah, Bogey Jack. I remember one time. Well, I'm not gonna tell that story.
Yeah. I told you, they told a lot of
I already
stories.
got in trouble once.
but chrome-plated Jack.
You ain't gotten in any trouble. We can say whatever we want.
But chrome-plated Jack. Anyway, Tim got him. I believe it was at the pre-futurity.
Yep.
His hock's that big. He's skin and bone. He looks like death warmed over. Next time I see him, I think we're at the Chicago Blue Ribbon.
Yeah.
And I was riding a full sister to Shiner's mother. A pretty good mare. And I think you beat me that day.
Might have. he was a good little horse. But I got him home. I mean,
that was a great horse.
And Colleen walked in the barn and she says, "What in the world is that?" I said, "It's a Hollywood Jack." Well,
I never thought I'd see him again after you loaded him in your trailer.
And I mean, I just fed him for 3 weeks because he was just, like he said, the biggest thing on him was that hock.
Yeah.
Did that hock ever get good?
It got down, but then I started riding him, and he was a little stiff.
Yeah.
Larry didn't give a hoot about their mouth. He trained all on leg, and
That's a little hard for you to do, huh?
so I started. So I started pulling on him, and so I just spitted him up one day in the stall. Well, he just walked in there and backed up to the wall and went bang, bang, bang with his back legs. I said, "I guess I won't bit him up anymore." I think Larry tried that already.
I had an old gray mare. She'd been showed in the youth for 10 years, like Western riding, reining, every event. This old mare, she was trained by one of the great West Coast trainers, Harold Farron. And Harold got his horses broke. Well, Dale Livingston sent her to me. He got hurt pretty bad, and so he sent her to me. Well, this old mare, she had navicula, and you had to be careful with her. But you didn't need to school her. You didn't need to. And I could go mark 75, 76s, 77s on her all day long.
I remember her for some reason.
Just a big old sweet gray, and not made pretty, but just a big old sweet gray mare. And I never forget that mare, because when I wanted to tune her up, when he said bitting them, I'd just bit her up, and she'd always fall in love with whatever horse she was hauling her with. So I'd bit her up. And if I'm at a show, we can't do that today. But then I'd take her buddy away. And then when her buddy got took away, then she'd start moving around that stall and bump herself off, and she's ready to go show.
So when you two were in your heyday, button heads, who else was in that group?
Bill, me, Tim,
Dick was
Dick. Yeah, Dick.
Oh.
If he didn't hit the wall, he could beat you.
So Dick liked to go fast. I mean,
he
he's out to
died,
say
he
he
hit
used to
the
go
wall.
fast. I don't have anything wrong with that.
When we had the drag and the tractor, they'd leave
Yeah,
it in
in
the
the
arena
arena.
at the Congress down in the corner. Well, it was that full sister to his really great mare. Anyway, she's running off with him. Dick's white knuckle, but he had to jump the drag. She done. Then his full sister had to jump the drag.
I marked a 219 once with my hind feet
Miss Seablair's sister, Seablair, my son.
clicking
Yeah.
off the wall.
Yeah.
And was Craig was just coming into the picture then?
Yeah.
Craig
he was
Johnson?
just-
Oh, and Craig had a paint futurity horse, and his dad brought it to me to show at the Paint World Show, and that's when Craig was just coming into his deal. Well, I get to the Paint World Show, and this horse had a bad tail, really bad tail. So I put a rubber band around it before I went in, and I forgot to take it out. Well, I was the first horse up. I run down the middle of the pen, did my first stop. I thought, oh, crap. So I just turned around and walked back to the gate. I says, are you sure I'm supposed to be first?
Did they let you show again? Did they
I
let
said,
you?
I don't think I'm supposed to be first. And all the time I'm talking to them, I'm doing that. They said, no, it's right here. You're first. I said, okay.
And you got to go back in there again.
Yeah, I had the world's champion junior.
That's awesome. That's legendary. That is legendary.
Yes. Yeah. I'm thinking of that era. So Craig, Rocky was always a pain in everybody's butt, huh?
Yeah.
And I think Rocky.
Listen, Rocky, what year was it? 1990. I won it on Topsail Cody. Rocky's second on one of them Greyhound horses. I'm third on Boss Sugar Bars. He's fourth on another horse, and then I was sixth on my third horse.
Yeah.
We got most of the money that year.
Yeah. No, for sure.
But I mean, I thinking back are those things. Rocky was tough. He was.
I'd have been a little earlier.
What was
A
it?
little earlier than that.
He's a Greyhound. He had a lot of colts on a.
Yeah, he's a Greyhound stud.
Yeah, they were nice horses.
And Rocky just this year marked a 19 in the Derby at the Congress. I mean, we went golfing with him one day. Next day marked a 19. I mean,
Rocky's always been a good hand ever since he was a kid.
Yeah.
That 78 was the first year he went to Futurity.
Yeah,
And he was working for
Bob Anthony.
Yeah.
Now there's a character, Bob Anthony.
You don't have to tell me. He came to.
He liked to play games with you, and he'd say, your horse has a curve. That bump's always been there. But he'd like to play games.
He was a person that at times didn't have much to say, but what he did was hilarious.
Oh, he loved to play games. He
Mhm.
loved to play mental games with you.
Yeah.
He
I never
came-
met Bob, so
I'm
I met him when I worked for you. Yeah, I used to play poker at Futurity.
I never met Bob.
He was. He came to River Falls and did a clinic.
Yeah.
And I went over and rode with him. I had a son of two-eyed Jack that I was trying to make a reiner out of,
I had one of those.
and then at the end of this clinic, I said, "If you're done, you can just come over and stay at the house a couple of days." He was there 3 weeks. That was when he was getting divorced, and nobody knew who I was.
Yeah, that's
So they didn't
Anthony.
even know where to chase him down at because he didn't have cell phones then. It's just
Oh, funny.
worked out good for everybody.
the first week, Colleen and she says, "We got to go to the horse show this weekend." I said, "Well, I'll tell Bob." I said, "Bob, we got to go to a quarter horse show this weekend." "That's all right. Go ahead. I'll be okay."
That sounds like Bob.
Yeah.
We used to have a cabinet that we kept liquor in. We'd have them parties and people would bring bottles and they just leave them. And it was pretty full when we got home. It was all gone.
Well, you know, when Anthony left Willowbrook, Tom gave Tom a list of 6 horses that he wanted, and High Proof wasn't on the list. Bonita Paprika was. Well, Tom said to Bob, "You've never rode more than two in a day all the years you've been here. Why would I send you 6 horses?" Well, anyway, him and Bob got crushed. So my phone rings. The guy calls up, says, "I have 2 horses I'd like to put in training with you." I didn't know who I was talking to. I said, "Well, I'm full right now, but I'll call you as soon as I have an open stall." He said, "Well, one of these horses is High Proof." And I said, "Wait a minute.
I think I got a stall.
Is this Willowbrook Farms?" He said, "Yeah, this is Tom Fuller." He said, "The stall's just opened."
Yeah.
Well, anyway, see, High Proof, Bob would always kind of bump one with a spur on a lead change. Well, High Proof got scared of that center of that pin. And just before he was going to change leads, he'd take Bob to the fence. Well, Bob didn't want him no more. Well, I get him. Well, the first show I show him, I take him to Chicago. Anthony and all of his friends are there. They're all at the gate when I go in. I was just happy to get out of the pen, still standing up. I mean, High Proof took me for the damnedest ride I've ever been. It was embarrassing. So I went home. I was going to a lot of quarter horse shows in those days. And I just lope D, go to the quarter horse shows, just lope D-shaped circles, lope straight across. Then take my spurs off. Then at home, we had a 640-acre bridle path. I'd go out there and I'd just take my spurs off and I'd stand on the other stirrup and hold that rein. Then you change. And then I'd stand in the other stirrup, just loping in a straight line for 2 miles and just change him 10 or 20 times. And then we went to quarter horse shows and loped D-shaped circles and got him all relaxed, changing leads. Then I took him to Middletown. Took him and Boston Water Star, and he was first and second. And then he went right back to winning again.
Yeah, Middletown was a big deal back then. I never went, but I read about it in the Rainer.
That pen, that year I took Boston and High Proof back there. It rained cats and dogs and high-ass automobiles the night before. I mean, that road was soaked. The next day, that ground was perfect. And I remember on one stop, there was a little waterway, little dip. Oh, High Proof hit that dip and just never picked a foot up.
Was Bob and BH, were they friends back then?
At times.
Yeah,
I remember one time, BH told me
Kind of like me
Bob
and Tom.
spent about a week or 10 days with him, and Bill had to go somewhere. And after he left, Anthony filled his trailer full of Bill's alfalfa and left.
Yeah, so there was a smaller. There was probably what 6 of you guys that were ahead of the pack in those days, huh?
Who else? Rocky.
Who's Lad's 50?
Bob Mack was
Oh,
good
Bob
for a
Mack.
little while. Yeah,
Yes, and Bobby Mack. Lad's 50 destroyed his career. Lad's 50 was a puke, and he was in love with that horse.
yeah.
You really
And he was bound to be. I remember one time he had this filly, or had this 2-year-old mare, and she was spinning 1,000 mile an hour. Well, he always had a car antenna that was wrapped with a tape on the bottom. He says, I don't even need my antenna to make her. He'd whip them on the neck with that, and then they just.
Yeah, his horses were turning ones and 1.5s
Yeah.
before anybody.
Oh yeah, and I
remember.
that TV, that antenna had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, he couldn't watch TV, but he could turn it 1.5.
But it's also amazing that he picked a horse like that he got along with. That
He
you
loved that horse.
could see it. You from the outside looking in, you could see it was no good, but that stuck in his own way.
He just loved that horse.
Was he not a good show horse, or was he not a good producer?
Wasn't a very good
I
producer.
think
No.
he might have. I don't think
He produced a little, but not.
Couple.
I think he was a decent show horse, and I had one mare out of him, and she was gutless. I mean,
Yeah.
she
But-
just quit.
But you didn't train. Bobby went down to the guts a little deeper than you did.
Mine, if they didn't want to do it, I got another one.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get along with a horse I had to beat on.
So was there any kind of camaraderie back in the day, or did you guys show up and
We were
kind
pretty
of side eye each other?
well, a little of both. Bobby, I always liked Bobby a lot. He was good. Bill and I used to get sideways now and then, but we got along. But see, I was so far away from everybody that the only time I seen him was at the horse shows.
But you and Bill too were at the top of the heap.
Yeah, and we were
I mean, that
we were at
was-
each other's throats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were at each other's throats. There's no doubt about that. And I think today, you guys that are at the top of the heap are better friends than we were. I think we were not near as close. I think you guys are just a lot better. I think got a healthier relationships.
Did you guys ride together a lot or help each other out?
Bill and I rode together a little. Nobody would help anybody out.
When you'd go to Waterman's in the spring, wouldn't you?
Oh God, yeah. We had
That was a crazy time for them.
Oh, listen, we had a stop contest out on the racetrack. None of us won a dime at the Derby that year. We blew all our horses up on the racetrack.
They went to Bill Waterman's. Waterman wasn't his real last name. That was just what they were doing. They were watering each other.
You know,
Waterman.
I remember they had an oyster bar down the road where they just bring had two guys on the other side. They'd just keep flipping them oysters out to you, bring you a pitcher of beer and eat a pile of oysters for lunch. I like that.
But it was, Matt Lance went down there and he said, I asked Bill to help me with my lead change. So he said, I'm doing this and doing that. And I said, what do you think, Bill? What should I do? Well, just do this.
I
Just do that. That's all he told him.
Yeah.
Bill had more feel about doing.
Bill had a lot of feel.
I mean, just from talking to you, I'd say you were probably a little bit, quite a bit opposite of what he was, because you wanted your horse soft and supple and to be able to bend left and right. I think he wanted his straight as a board. If you pulled their nose in, he'd probably chew your butt.
You know, I refused to hammer on one. If they didn't want to cooperate with me, I got another one. I wanted horses that would be soft. I wanted horses that were feely. And I got along best with horses that I trained myself because I showed pretty hard back in those days. And if you're going to show that hard, your horse has to trust you. If you're jerking their face off or you're getting brutal on them, when you run one of those really hard runs, they're going to leave you. But if they trust you, like if I took the slack out of the reins, my horse would relax. As soon as I'd kind of make a contact with them, they'd relax. And if you've been jerking their face off, that's when they'd leave you.
But the other thing too, back when you guys were going hard, you went to the Futurity and you really didn't care if you went to the Derby.
No,
because
I wanted the Futurity.
Yeah, and after, it's not like you guys now. Shit, you got 6 other ones you can win 100,000 at. You know,
I'll tell you what, I'd give anything to be 30, 35 years old and know what I know now. Oh my God, I'd do a lot of things different.
Yeah.
A lot of things.
And that said, most of the things you've done have been right.
Well, for the time.
Yeah.
For the time. But when I see where they are today, there's a couple things that I don't like, but I like 98% of it. Like, I like the way I don't like them loping with their damn nose that far off the ground. And I think, like your horses, they run with their necks out flat, but you've had great teachers.
Yeah.
Those horses that, I love that poll really soft. And I like that neck really soft from side to side. But I don't want it so broke loose that they just do that. That's overdone.
Yeah.
To me, that's overtrained. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Well, the judges are starting to, they're starting to point it out in our schools.
You want them to react
They
to your
want 'em-
hand, but not be behind your
But
hand.
they also want them to be balanced in their carriage now.
Yeah.
So
Well, when I take the slack out of the reins, at some point I want to feel that mouth.
Right.
I don't want that thing to keep coming till it touches its chest. I want to be able to feel. I want to go so far and feel that mouth. And I just think we've got so into this loose rein stop that
but when I got Shiner from you,
yeah,
the only thing I did was turn his face loose. You liked it just a little more where you liked it.
Yeah.
And all I had to do is put my hand down and he lowered himself.
See, what was Shiner, that was one of the easiest horses to train. He had the mind of an angel. He was
did.
sweet.
oh, Carol, you listening? Hey, talking nice.
When I started teaching him to stop, in a straight line, he wanted to throw them shoulders around. And I finally had to just hold him up like that and just hold his shoulders up and send him and then just say, whoa, and let go. And then he got where he'd hold his shoulders up and he'd run to a stop. But that was the only thing that was any work with that horse.
And the only thing I had to do, and it was, to me, it was worse than the right. Going in your left lead, he'd lean.
Yeah.
And I kind of just let him go over there and said, gotta go this way.
Yeah.
And then because he went.
Did you guys share any other horses besides Shiner
I think that's,
that you can
He
remember?
let me ride a couple of his and show a couple of his.
yeah.
Boston Water Stars weren't quite as easy.
You rode a Boston Star earlier one time. That horse,
And he was a pretty good horse.
he was broke, but he was tough. Oh, he was tough. I remember I catch rode a horse for you one time, and I get my horses running real free and running real free. And then when I whisper whoa to them, they'll stop. And I got this thing all loosened up and going from fence to fence. All of a sudden, whoa! I said, Tim, tighten them brakes down. Tighten them damn brakes back. It's like,
Running a little too free.
That's gold right there. That's awesome.
When did you guys start riding on tracks, on slide tracks?
Well, when they went out to the track back in the 70s at the Congress. That track was there, and they all went out there and rode. I didn't go there too much. I didn't have that.
see, what I call a track is a big dirt patch. Like, I was helping Les vote. He had a horse, one of the greatest athletes I've ever. His name was Cheksanek. This thing could stop, and you couldn't let him. If you let him turn as hard as he could turn, he'd scare himself and leave. But this horse was one of the most physical horses I've ever seen. Well, he was a fire-eating dragon cow horse that couldn't be beaten, a cow horse. Well, Les decided he wanted to show him in the reining. Well, Les is one of the most underestimated. He's one of the greatest trainers I've ever rode with. He was so knowledgeable and such a horseman. I told him, I said, Les, you got to build a track to where you can school him, speed him up. So he went to a dozen just small shows, and he'd run half a pattern, stop, unsaddle him, lead him out of the arena, did everything in the world to relax this horse. All that I told him, you got to build a track. Well, one day I'm riding on the track out there, and he pulls in and he says, is this a track? And I said, yeah, this is my track. He says, no, this is a dirt patch. He says, I've been on a track, and this son is just getting hotter and hotter. Anyway, he comes to the World Show, wins the cow horse and the rider. After he got him all put. And then I sold a horse. One of my two favorite topsail Codies ever was Topsail Dude and Topsail Whiz. Well, anyway, I showed Topsail after I sold Topsail Dude. What's his name guy? He was in California. Todd Crawford got him for a youth girl. And she won Tulsa like 2 years on him, the youth deal. And then they give him to him to show. Well, Les was riding Cheksanek, and Todd Crawford's riding Topsail Dude. California never seen ridings like that. Them two son of a guns, they were running against it. They were just trying to beat each other every weekend. And that's two of the nicest horses of that era.
So I think, Tim, you've told me that you went and rode with Kenny Epper's Summa. And because you two were probably the first two that really put a lot of face and body control. And
Kenny's an excellent hand. I've known Kenny since he was a kid, and he is a horse trainer.
Yeah,
Kenny is definitely a horse trainer.
He helped me a lot.
Very, very knowledgeable.
Did you ride with anybody?
I've never rode it. Just friends that I'd ride. I never. I'm completely self-taught. There was nobody in Nebraska to ride with.
Right.
I had one friend that I was dating his daughter.
So that didn't last long.
Well, he had a buckskin stud that was the 1961 honor roll, AQHA honor roll reining horse name. I'll think of his Magnolia Denny. Well, anyway, I'd go there and I'd ride with him. And growing up, all I ever thought of, I wanted to train jumping horses. I had jumping horses on my mind. That's all I thought of. That's all. I knew I was going to train jumping horses Well, anyway, I started spending a lot of time at George Sherwood's, and I rode Denny. I'd ride Denny some, and then I rode a couple of his other horses he was showing in AQHA reinings, and I just fell in love with it. I mean, on a loose rein and safe flow, and they stop and they spin and lope circles and guide. I thought, man, this is like dying and going to heaven. And I just fell in love with reining at that point.
Yeah. You know, one thing I think that has changed from when I first started, which was a while ago, but obviously not in your eras, but the thing I've seen change the most is the stories I heard and the things that I know, you guys had a lot of fun at the reining.
Oh, big time.
And it's so
Too much.
business now. It's so business.
Oh, I had too much fun. Yeah.
But the other thing, Bob, is I look at these guys now and wish we'd have had that money to run there.
Oh, if we'd had that money,
God.
if we'd had the money to run that you guys do today, we'd have got serious. We'd have got a lot more serious.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you think that's probably, you think that's the biggest difference is the money?
Money changes everything.
Yeah.
It didn't pay. We were making a living training horses and stuff like that, and we were happy. But if they'd have had the money in it in that era that we have today, we'd have got real. I know I would have.
Yeah.
I don't know about anybody else, but money talks and bullshit
I know.
talks.
I know Andy used to think you were just the absolute coolest because she and Bobby Joe would go to the horse shows with you guys and you would get them in their own room. So,
Yeah.
so you could be all by yourself.
Yeah, I wanted to be alone so I could think.
Lots of thinking going on.
Yeah.
What was her name?
Let's talk about something else.
Yeah, good times.
I always took care of my girls, so
Yeah, you did. You did. So since the futurity has moved from, since the futurity has moved from the Congress, I showed one time at the Congress. My second futurity, I was a non-pro at the Congress. First open futurity was in Oklahoma City. But to see what it's done as even spectator-wise, you know, it used to be just Europe. Europe was the deal. Europe, whenever things got a little tough here, Europe propped us up. Now, I don't see it getting tough here anymore. And now we have Mexico, we have Brazil, we have, you know, it is just going crazy everywhere.
there's so much money running around this horse business. It's you know, I'm just tickled to death to have been in it at the beginning and to see what it was like then and what it's like today. You just can't fathom it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you'd have told me it was going to be like this back in the 60s, I'd have thought you'd been on too much wacky tobacco.
Yeah. But you know what? It got there on the backs of guys like you guys. I mean, could be because you guys were the rock stars of the era. And I don't care what it is. It doesn't, if there's not rock stars, there's no interest.
You know, you was asking me if I'd ever rode with anybody. No, there was nobody to learn from in the Midwest where I was. But I had an old friend. He was an old, he trained 6-horse hitches and driving horses and he used to be a horse buyer for the biggest sale barn in the Midwest. And he could just read a horse and he'd sit there and watch me ride all day long. And if I was getting too rough or getting too far, he said, "Come over here. You need to just relax a little bit." He helped me so much to figure out how a horse thinks and when you can push him, when you should back off and how to read a horse. He taught me how to be a horseman and how to take care of them. And I've had a lot of young people work for me that were very talented, that had a lot of talent, but they didn't have enough common sense to come in out of the ring and try to make horsemen out of them, and they don't understand what you're talking about.
Right.
I think it's all about stopping and spinning and loping circles. To be a horseman, you got to be able to read a horse, know when to quit, when to push.
So on that note, I want to ask both of you, what about, do you feel like the horses today are making more horse trainers, are more forgiving?
Listen, when we were young, if you got a great one, you took care of it because it might be a while before you find another one. With all these great breeding programs we have today, there's a smorgasbord there's more great ones getting blew up than's getting trained. I mean, there's so many great ones out there that you can go, if you need a great horse, you can go find one.
Right.
They're out there.
And you might be surprised where you can get it at.
You know, and there's no more buying great brood mares for a little bit of nothing. They're going to cost
No.
you an arm and a
Yeah.
leg. I mean, that was a long time ago. No, now with the breeding programs we got, the best mares in the industry being bred to the best studs in the industry, there's a smorgasbord of great horses out there.
Yeah, for sure. And
And you know as well as I do, when we would get to the futurity, there might be 4 horses that we said, those are the winners.
You know,
And
I've always said, though,
now there's 25 of them that could be the
maybe
winner.
more,
They
maybe.
maybe don't get shown,
right.
but they got enough talent to.
And there used to be 8 or 10 people that was capable of winning it. Today, there's 100 if they had the right horse.
Yeah.
You know,
No
it's just-
doubt.
It's just a different ballgame.
No doubt. I know there's been some on the internet and stuff. There's been some chatter about, we don't honor the heroes and the legends enough, and we don't remember that stuff. But you know what? I do. I remember you guys. You guys brought me into it. And then there's a certain group of people that remember my age group. And then there's going to be a certain group of people that remember the age group. It is just the natural progression of.
I'll tell you something that's really neat to me. Andrea's son has went professional. Your son has went professional. And I just saw on Facebook where Casey Derry's son is going to go professional. I think that's so neat. And then Tim, he's the best sire of all of us. He's got 3 generations of them.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, it is. Yeah, 4 now. Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah. No, it is cool to watch, and for me, I'm kind of in the middle. I didn't know Bill. I met him one time when you brought him to my house, but I didn't know Bill, but I watched Bill a lot. I didn't know Bob, but I watched Bob a lot. So there's that group that I watched and studied and was a big part of what made me want to do this. But also there's the young group that I go, holy shit, those guys are good.
Really,
I mean,
really,
you can't take that away.
yeah, these young guys, they're really good. I tell you what about Bill. I rode probably the best horse he ever trained, Surprise Enterprise. And I loved that horse. I could follow Bill all day long. Every trainer has something that bugs him. The only thing I had to do to that horse to make him fit me was put a pleasure horse lead departure on him and change lanes off my leg. That was the only 2 things. That's a 30-day deal. Other than that, he might be my all-time favorite show horse. I love that horse. I remember the first day I rode him, when he come in the barn, I saddled him up, went to the indoor arena. I lope a circle. He takes me to the fence and tries to rub my leg off on the fence. Oh, shit. What's going on here? So I stepped off of it, and I said, now, whenever I get in a wreck, I go to thinking before I go to acting. So I got off of him. I'm walking around. I'm looking. So I thought, well, sometime the drop nose bands will bug him. Well, I took that drop nose band off of him, got back on him. He just rode like a Cadillac. I never put another one on him.
Yeah, I'm sure Bill never had one on him.
So one time I see Bill on the horse. I said, Bill, did you ever put a cabazon on Surprise? What's a cabazon? And that little rope thing around the. Oh, no, he says, I use a battle around a tail band, tie down now and then.
Yeah.
So did Mr. Archese buy him from BH and then send him directly to you, or did he show him for BH for a minute?
No, Bill owned him at the
I mean,
Futurity.
show him for Mr. Archese, yeah.
And then Archese bought him. And Archese asked me if I wanted him, and I said, hell yeah, I want him. I tried to buy him as a 2-year-old. So I got him after that. But I love that horse. You know, the thing about him, you couldn't school him. If you schooled him and tried to make him spin faster or anything, you couldn't keep him in the pen. He wasn't hot. He was just dangerously feely. Before you showed him, you just wanted to relax him.
But now, after you bred him to some other mares, you ended up thinking, I got to breed him to quiet mares. Well, that didn't work either.
Well, I messed up because I thought that he's quiet. Like, I could run a large, fast circle as hard as he could fly. I don't mean just a fast one. I mean a really fast one. And hit the center and just sit down and hum to him. And he'd just hit a pleasure lope that slow. He wasn't hot, but he was feely. And if you scared him, you were screwed. So I thought he needed bred to a bunch of really quiet. So the first year I bred him to a bunch of quiet mares. You couldn't spur them things out of their tracks. I started breeding him to topsail Cody mares and more feely mares and little hotter mares. That's where the great ones showed up.
Yeah.
The best colt that I ever seen out of Surprise Enterprise was out of Spirit of Five. He never left Italy, and he was the world's champion open horse that year. He won every open in Europe. He was a big, pretty bay stud. There was nothing in the States that could have beat him at that time. And he was just showed it. But Spirit of Five was a very special mare.
Right.
One year, Dick Peepers and I were doing a demonstration at the Equine Wheels World's Fair in Düsseldorf, Germany. And I called Archie and I says, would you bring Spirit of Five and Sophie Oak for me and Peep to ride? Well, Peep rode Spirit of Five and I rode Sophie. And we'd run them in there and roll them back and stop them. The sand was that deep. And then take their bridles off and just do the same thing with a rope around their neck. That was two of the sweetest mares that ever lived.
So how was the decision made to, on another note, how was the decision made to send Shiner from your house to your house?
Carol and I didn't get along.
Yeah.
And Carol called me.
He pissed me off.
She said, can I have lunch with you? And I told Colleen that, and Colleen says, what does she want? I said, I don't know. So she came, we went to the barbecue shack, and she said, I'd like you to come and try Shiner. I said, well, what about Bob? Bob's done. That's all she said. Bob's done. So I went and tried him, and Colleen said she's sitting there watching me ride him. She says, we're taking him home, aren't we?
Listen, that was a nice horse. That stop was the only thing, just throwing them shoulders around, that you had to contend with, because everything else was bulletproof.
Yeah. And I think that's also, he kind of produced that a little bit, huh?
Yes, he did.
A lot. But with him, whenever he'd start throwing them around, all you had to do is just balance him, just hold his face and run him down there, but make him stand up. And then you didn't want to spank him or nothing. He didn't need none of that shit. Just hold him and help him stay in the middle.
Yeah. No, there's been a lot of great Shiners, but that is one of the things that we hear about.
Yeah.
You know, they can be a little wiggly, run into their stuff.
Well, I dearly loved that horse. I thought and I'm glad Tim got it, because Tim was he couldn't go to anybody that was going to hammer on him. He had to go somewhere where he's not a horse that could have took hammering.
And he was a busy boy, because he'd come to my house. I'd ride him in the morning, or that afternoon, ride him in the morning. They'd pick him up, take him home, breed him. He'd come back. He was a busy boy.
Carol, when I had him at my house, she knew I rode him. He was always my first horse, 7 o'clock in the morning. Some of the time she'd be there waiting. Then one day she brought a horse, and I'm screwed. She's loping around behind me. And she says, how come your legs are going like that all the time? I said, have you ever heard of forward motion?
Yeah. Well,
Well, it worked
yeah, it worked for everybody.
because he was
Yeah.
broke.
That was a great horse, but he went to the right place. He had to go somewhere. He's not a horse that somebody could have beat up or that. Just
Nah,
wouldn't-
he didn't.
he was a real kind horse.
Yeah.
And breeding as much as he did, he was easy.
No, I never had a stud problem with him. The year Topsail Wiz won the Lazy E, I bred him just before I went for the first go round. After the first go round, I run him home, collected him, bred him again, took him back for the finals.
How old was he when he went from your house to your house?
4.
He was
No, he's 5. He's coming 5.
Yeah, he was coming 5.
Coming 5.
You showed him at the Lazy.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a very nice horse.
Yeah. Because that I just remember back then that was a surprise because
Yeah.
and then he
That's
was
the only horse I had pulled in my entire career.
yeah. No, that's
But it's understandable.
that speaks volumes though. I mean to go through that kind of career and yeah. Well, and you won 6 futurities?
6.
Yeah, that's
Every record I ever made is broke except one. I'm still the only person that won it 3 years in a row.
I don't know that's
That's-
ever going to
yeah.
happen again.
Yeah,
That's not going to get broke.
And the other run, I think you were the leading rider 11
years in a row.
and I don't think that's ever going to happen again
I
either.
don't think so either.
But if I'd been leading rider 11 years in a row now,
Whoa.
yeah.
Think how
You
much
could have
money-
retired
if
after
Yeah.
year
If
5
it would have
Yeah.
paid
because they're winning $1 million a year.
now, I was in the top 3 everywhere I went for 25 or 30 years. How much would that pay today?
Yeah,
Wow.
incredible.
Tim did the same damn
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's incredible. But at the end of the day, you know what?
It is what it is.
the-
We did our part.
Yeah, and the
Exactly.
financial success both of you guys have had. I mean, there's a lot of guys that have, I mean, there's been
Won as
go
much, but not as successful.
yeah, there's been GoFundMe set up for people to have a place to live, and you guys are still killing it.
I'll
Still
tell you what, the horse business has been so good to me. I have no complaints.
Me neither.
I mean, everything I have is because of the horses.
Is there any other businesses that y'all are thinking about getting into that you see a future in that nobody's caught on to yet? Like, you
Well,
got any leads on anything?
I'll tell you what, this Longhorn.
Yeah. No, we're too late. We're too late. We're too late for
Yeah.
Longhorns. I mean, do we need buckskin Longhorns? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
And then we need bald-faced Longhorns.
I want to tell you something about making a living with livestock. Don't ever get into nothing that some guy on the radio tells you what it's worth every day.
Yeah.
Where the money is clear blue sky. You need a cow that has more horn, more color, more body than any of the rest of them, or you need a horse that can spin faster, slide farther, win more. If you
Yeah.
don't have clear blue sky to sell, you're not going to make any money.
best best advice
That's
ever.
great advice.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
It takes a hell of a cow man to make a living in the commercial business. You got some guy on the radio telling you what your product's worth, and it ain't gonna bring 2 cents more. That's what you're gonna get. And like right now, I'm so tickled for the cow man because I've never seen commercial cow prices as high as they are right now.
Yeah.
Usually if I get my bulls and my heifers are the ones that make the money. And I always just sell the ropers for ropers. And if you get 400 a piece for ropers, that's good. Right now they're bringing $1,000 a piece.
Oh.
So the commercial guy can make some money finally.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier. It's a funny story. I managed a bunch of mares for Oldenburg Farms in Wisconsin. They ended up being the leading breeder. I don't remember what year. It was a few years ago, but they ended up being the leading breeder in the NRHA. And we were talking about their mares. They went out and bought 5 really good mares, and we were talking about Done It for Checks was one of them. And then we were talking about where to breed those mares. And I said,
They bought Done It for Checks.
yeah, they had her early.
That's a
Yeah.
good bitch.
Didn't
Yeah.
they done it for whiskey?
Yeah, they bred done it for whiskey. They owned Tim Anderson's
Wind
good
Up
mare,
Chick.
Winder Up Chick. I mean, they had a star-studded. We put together a really good group of mares for them. But I remember talking to them. We were out in their pasture looking at those mares, and I said, I'd breed that one and that one to Top Sale Whiz. And they said, where's that horse? And I said, he's at Bob Loomis's. And, Bob and I bred a lot of mares to Bob's horses, and we get along good. And, you know Bob Loomis? I said, yeah, I've known Bob Loomis for a long time. He has horses. At that time, it was so funny to me because those people were in the cattle business, and you, by all accounts, revolutionized the Longhorn business. You changed the game.
With the Longhorns, all I did was the same thing I did with with my horses. Get the best brood mares you can get your hands on. And it'll work with any kind of livestock.
And now we need buttermilk buckskin, Longhorn cows, and then in another 10 years, we need bald-faced sorrels.
I used to hate horses with too much white. It's all that washing and scrubbing to make them pretty. Now that's all people want.
Yeah.
Well, you look at Tim's career. So he's either genius or it just worked out. I'm not sure which. He starts out with Hollywood Done It, so he comes out with all these beautiful buckskins.
Yeah.
And then he goes from there to Gunner with all the white faces and the
He's the color man out there.
yeah.
I've always had them solid sorrels and solid bays.
Yeah. And then you breed a Done It mare to Gunner, and then you have a beautiful buckskin with a white face and black. Yeah.
I had a whiz mare out of Shining and Sassy have a colt 2 nights ago out of Maverick. It's got a white face. That's it. Not another. No more white. Just a bold. Just a big strip.
I better sell it. How much do you want for
it? Speaking of that, there's a story I don't want to miss. I remember when Howard Mann was a customer of yours.
Oh God!
And I
liked him.
I love Howard. Howard and I did a lot of stuff together, and we really enjoyed Howard.
Talk about the year you outsmarted him.
Oh yeah, this is where I'm going. So we're at the Lazy Eve one year, and Howard would buy a colt or two here from you for maybe 5. He'd buy 5 at a time or whatever. Yeah. He came up to me at the Lazy Eve one year, and he says, outsmarted Bob this year. This year I outsmarted Bob. I said, what'd you do? Instead of him pricing 2 or 3 of them to me, I bought all of his yearlings.
Oh, you know what he did? We were sitting in the living room one night, and he said, I want to buy your whole colt crop. I said, well, I'll have to go out and count how many there are. He said, no, I want to buy the ones that aren't born yet, the ones the mares are carrying. And I said, well, they'll be. I said, I don't know how to price nothing that isn't born yet. He says, well, he disappeared and he goes to his bedroom. Comes back out with a piece of paper with a price on it. He said, I said, I looked at it. It was so much a piece of a lot. And I said, okay, Howard, here's the thing. I guarantee these colts will be alive and breathing, and they're yours. After that, they're yours. He said, that's fun. So he bought the whole damn calf crop or colt crop before it was born.
Yeah.
Wow.
About 30 of them.
Yeah. That was when he told me. I remember where I was. We were sitting at the Lazy at my table. He says, I outsmarted Bob. And I'm like, well, not many people do that. But then when he told me, I was like, still not many people have done that.
You got him this time, Howard. You got him.
Yeah.
And you got the best one he had, I bet.
I was proud of it.
Yeah. I bet you were. And obviously Howard doesn't listen to this show, I'm sure, but I love Howard. He was a good dude. That dude was good. But
Pam likes donkeys. So she found this donkey breeder on the way to it was down in Dallas. So we go down there and I bought Pam 3 or 4 really nice little jennies, real pretty ones. Well, Howard, they had a bunch of them that there was a show string that wasn't for sale. Well, Howard bought 5 of their show string and gave a fortune for them.
Yeah.
I got really good buys on mine. But
Well, when Dwayne worked for Howard up there, Dwayne said, if they needed supplies, he'd say, well, we need buckets or we need leg wraps or we need whatever. And they would get boxes of them. They would have a storage room full of, they needed 10 of them, but they ordered 100 of them.
One time he wanted to order a saddle. So I was riding Bob's Western World at that time, saddles. So I said, well, what do you want and where do you want to go? He says, I want 6 for your place, 6 in Montana, and 6 of them in Las Vegas. Orders 18 of them.
Yeah.
That's just the way he did things.
Yeah, that's how he rolled.
Dwayne told me that when his dad shut him down and that old thing went south, the loft in that barn was full of leg wraps, horse blankets, saddle pads, splint boots, skid boots, and he just give them all to Dwayne or whoever wanted them.
Yeah, no, Dwayne, yeah, when that deal shut down, Dwayne got the trucks and trailers and some mares and all the stuff he built on Dwayne's place, he just walked away from and gave it all to him.
Well, but Dwayne had a contract with him.
Yep.
And he...
But Howard would have done that without a contract.
He would have.
He had a big heart.
Howard's personal show equipment, his hat, his chaps, his spurs, he gave all that to Corky.
Yeah.
Boy, I'll tell you what, Dwayne, I think that's the only thing bothered him about moving was Corky not going with him.
Yeah.
Corky's been with him for 27 years.
Yeah. Dwayne moving to ThorSport.
Yeah.
Moving from CS to ThorSport. And
I asked Dwayne, I said, do you remember how to saddle a horse?
He doesn't. No, of course he doesn't.
But apparently it's the right move for Dwayne, and Dwayne has to be happy for Corky that he's put him in that spot to have that job where they can't let him go either.
And I think
Corky's taken care of.
Dwayne feels the same way.
Yeah.
He's happy for Corky. Because, Corky's wife cleans the offices, the house, everything. Yeah. And Corky's son, when he's not in school playing ball, they give him a job. Yeah. They take care of Corky.
No. Dwayne's happy for Corky, but he's still sad for Dwayne.
But he misses it.
Yeah.
See, Corky was working for me when Dwayne went to work for me. And when Dwayne left, I said, I think it's fine that
that somebody stole your help.
You took my goddamn best help.
Yeah.
Right.
I was pissed off that he took Corky. That sucked.
Yeah, he was pretty dang loyal.
Yeah. Corky followed him.
But
But Dwayne and I will always be good friends because I know him.
Same here.
Yeah.
Yep. Same here. It's fun for me that Dwayne's moved down here because, I hadn't seen Dwayne. We see each other. Dwayne was in my wedding, and we hadn't seen each other for a long time, and except for at the horse shows. And then he moves down here, and we went to lunch or to dinner 3 times in the first 10 days. So I love having him down here, and
I tell you what, those Latimer boys are about as good as they're good folks.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Two of my favorite employees.
No doubt about it. Dwayne is an odd individual, but we still love him.
All those years that Dwayne worked for me, I never said a word to him. I'd go there, I'd watch him ride, and he could be completely upside down. And I'd just watch him. And then a couple of days later, I said, well, it looks like you got him. But I'd never said a word because I could see what he was doing.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a, sometimes you got to get in deep, but he knew when to get out.
Yeah.
I liked what he was doing. I liked and then when Dwayne left, I tried hiring some other people and I didn't like what they were doing.
Yeah. Good luck.
And I finally just shut the damn barn down.
Yeah.
But, like Joe and Dean and Dwayne, those 3, everything just always went smooth as water.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
When a guy is a horseman, what they do makes sense.
Yep. No, those Latimer boys had a good Good solid base.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I saw Mandy and I went up to the first year of the Little Rough Peppies. Dwayne had one, or Dean had one, and his dad was going to show us. He was going to get it out and lope it around, set your house, and he gets it out, and it bucked him off.
I was
so
watching.
hard.
I was on a horse in the intro.
Yeah.
He hit hard.
Oh, he hit hard.
Well, you know, and Wendy had a little rough mare. And every time she'd get on that mare, she'd just pucker up because that mare always, she never bucked Wendy off or never did nothing wrong because, Dwayne usually had the edge off before he put her on. But boy, Wendy, she just knew she was going to get nailed.
Those Little Roughs could be bronky. And in typical Dean fashion, when his dad's getting, this thing's bucking like it's the NFR, and his dad gets pile drive. And if you had a camera isolated on Dean, you wouldn't know anything happened. I mean, it was just...
Yeah, that's Dean.
Yeah.
That's Dean.
Yeah, it is pretty.
I remember one day, very seldom do you find a whiz that'll buck. A lot of them are goosey and feely, but never buck. I had one out of a Doc's Oak mare that would damn sure buck. One day, I'm out there on the track, and I'm sitting there with a loose rein. I'm visiting with Dean. Well, the guy had an old aluminum pull-type trailer, and he had a tractor on it. He's going down to fix a water line at the breeding barn. This trailer comes bang, bang, banging down the road. This son of a buck broke in two. And Dean said the farther he went, the harder he bucked. And I finally got him pulled up and got him stopped. But the next day, I couldn't get out of bed. My back... I had to go to the choir practice.
How do you say that, Joe?
Like that.
It ain't as easy as it was when we was kids.
No, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, I think it's pretty cool that NRHA has had both of you guys run in and start our events. And
it's a great organization, and it just makes me just proud as heck when I look and see where it is today and to been able to be part of it.
Yeah, and I think what makes it
look how many of us have made a living.
Yeah,
through the NRHA.
Yeah, I mean, you struggled at the beginning.
Sure.
You struggled at the beginning. You guys made it into where it was easier for me, and then my generation made it so Cade just waltzes through life.
That's right.
I think these young guys that come to work for top trainers, they come to learn, and they do learn. But they also need to learn about the business and about the sales and about what pays the bills.
Yeah,
I think we're not raising them right if we don't teach them the business end of this thing, because that's where you make the money.
Yeah, and I can tell you another thing. The one thing that's a struggle right now is I noticed on Facebook in the last week and a half, 10 days maybe, probably 12 to 15 different high-profile people looking for help. It is so hard to find help.
Is looking for help. One of the kids that works for Smershals called me up the other day, said, could you give me Jose's number? He said he might know somebody. I said, Jose don't have a phone number. You don't need to be calling my dad.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's not wrong. I think, Gunny, you put an ad out, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has.
And I don't have that big of a business anymore. It's just, it's not really super stressful. We have 30 horses in training. And
Well, working for you is a little stressful.
No, and actually, finding help.
At 5 a.m.
Finding help. I do get up in the morning. I do. And I work all day. I know you don't believe it. It just takes me a lot longer to get my shit done than it does. But I also don't have 100 horses in training that I need to be there.
There's a backstory to this. Sorry, Bob.
Well, really, Bob, my friends are assholes,
Yeah.
and they bring me here just to make fun of me.
Yeah.
And one day I'm fucking walking out of this joint mid-show.
I'll tell you what. I was horseback at 7 o'clock in the morning for a lot of years. Now I don't get up till 8:30. And if I'm still sleepy when I wake up, I'll stay till 9.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Yeah. Well,
One thing I wanted to add to you two running in is I was draw 1 at the Futurity, but silver lining to that is I'll probably be the last guy to ever get to run in after Bob Loomis.
yeah.
After him.
That's right.
After you. You ran in at the Futurity that night, and then I was draw 1.
That's
So
right.
that's something I'll get to hang my hat on. I'll probably be the last guy to get to run
Well,
in
that'll
after
be
Bob
my
Loomis.
last trip through that gate.
Unless you bring your own.
I'm gonna be. If I ever do it again, I'm gonna bring something that I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was fun. Well, guys,
Good
thank
night.
you.
It's been a
Yeah.
fun evening.
Yeah, it has
Thank
been
you
a
very
fun
much.
evening.
I told you everything I could remember.
It wasn't
know,
much.
Yeah, but what was his name though?
Lot of stories, not a lot of names, but there's a lot of stories.
Yeah, we have a game at our house, always trying to decide what Tim's
What I'm
talking about.
You remember.
Yeah.
Saying, like, yeah, he rode that horse.
I never forget a horse or a cow, but I have hell remembering people's names.
Yeah.
Well, it don't matter because our tens of viewers come here straight for the facts, baby, and we produce nothing but the facts.
Nothing but the fact.
Yeah.
All right, Gunny.
Grow the show.